Frank, I mean, obviously the markets are, they are looking very bullish. Maybe I would like to ask, what has influenced, the Bitcoin's price so far? Maybe we can, go way back in history, and then you can let us know what has always influenced Bitcoin's price and what is happening right now.
Yeah, so it's good that the price is really moving up very fast. We are seeing $1,000 movements every single day. But of course, there has to be an explanation as to why this is happening the way it is right now. Because one of the biggest challenges I personally had when I was getting into the space and I was doing these seminars and educational sort of content was people asking, is Bitcoin a scam? And considering how the market is moving really fast at the moment, someone might say that, it's a scam or it's a bubble. It's going to get to a point whereby everything just blows up and it goes down to zero. So yes, as you said, I think it's better if we go back straight from the beginning so that you understand why the price is behaving the way it is happening right now. And price is usually moved mostly by market fundamentals and people. And for you to have a very good idea of why we're here now, uh, I need to mention a few people who have been at the forefront of sort of driving the price throughout its 10-year history. So when Satoshi Nakamoto put out the white paper, there were a few core developers who worked with Satoshi. I don't say if it's him, her, or a group of people. And these core developers were sort of the idealists. They are like, the geeks who understood the code and helped him work around the the blockchain. So at that moment, really, the Bitcoin itself didn't have any sort of value. So these are just cryptographers who believed in the concept, and there were very few people. And of course, it was a very, very new concept. No one would be able to, not many people would be able to understand it. Not many people would be able to contribute to it. It just looked like sort of magic money. But then after the core development was done, there's this group of people who call themselves the libertarians. Now, the libertarians were those very early stage people who marketed Bitcoin to, small, tiny conferences where you do a conference and there are like only 3 people coming. You're just trying to make them understand this new concept called Bitcoin. At that time, Bitcoin is still pretty much valueless because not many people believe in it. Not many people understand it. And it just looks like sort of magic money, right? Thereafter, uh, a larger group of people came in to adopt Bitcoin. These were like just young, savvy people who sort of like, hey, they believed in the capacity of technology and entrepreneurs to transform the world, those nerds, and that sort of thing. So they bought very small quantities at that time. And just starting to experiment with it, discussing it in different forums, and basically just trying to get a grasp of the concept in it, and also the few people who actually got to start believing in it started using this word called Lambos. They started. It's at this point that there was belief that this is a concept that will actually change the world. And in as much as the price is very, very low right now, it has the ability to enable me to buy a Lamborghini. So we talk about, when Lambo, when Moon. Um, and of course, it kind of just spiraled over from there. And it got to this point now where now we have investors. Investors have also been able to contribute immensely, especially in the last couple of months and going into this year. And at the same time, now the portfolio managers and whatnot, the people who bring in the institutional money, huge chunks of of fiat getting into this space. So just in a nutshell, those are people who have been able to contribute to the ecosystem in a way that has actually shaped the price from when it was almost zero to what it is right now. And I will actually just briefly take you through the just early trading history of Bitcoin. It would move because a lot of people always ask about the price movements or the volatility and whatnot. It would move from $13, it hits $220, and then it crashes down. It goes from $100, moves to $200, it moves to $1,000. So it's just had this volatility up and down throughout 2013, 2014. And then, of course, there was this meteoric rise in 2017. And then, of course, we had this sort of crash. We call it the crash. For those who are sort of not the Bitcoin maximalists. And I think from there, where we are right now has actually been fundamentally been shaped by these people and different factors that include something like not having exchanges when you're starting over, right? So it was very hard for people to even acquire Bitcoin. At the same time, some of the challenges or the things that made the price go up and down are things like the ICO craze. And most of these people were using, it was anonymous, it was happening on their Tor network. So the price and the movement and the people who have continuously contributed in this space are the ones who are sort of making us be where we are right now. So that pretty much, I'd say, would be a summary of the journey of Bitcoin and crypto to this point.
All right, great. You mentioned quite a lot of things there, Frank.
Yeah.
And I can see a lot of questions as well flowing in on that. I think we'll take some of the questions later on. But looking at the history and all that, now looking at how the market is playing in 2020 and 2021, what would you say are the factors still at play in the market right now?
At the moment, if you'd notice that some of the things, most of the things I've mentioned were kind of just random things happening in different packets or pockets of places. And these are the ones that are sort of influence the price. And it is so unstable, very, very volatile. And in fact, throughout the 10 years of Bitcoin's existence, one thing that has always stood out is just the volatility of the Bitcoin price. But now going into 2021, where I've mentioned the institutions coming in, and we also have these portfolio managers coming in, what has been noticeable at the moment is that the market for Bitcoin trading has actually matured. It's matured to the extent that we can sit down and teach crypto trading for people to know and analyze the market, considering fundamental analysis, technical analysis. Are you interested in making a profit? If you're interested in making a profit, it's as simple as just buy low, sell high. Are you interested in holding or using it as a hedge for sort of maintaining the value of your wealth? That basically just different fundamentals that have to be considered right now to sort of look at Bitcoin or crypto as an asset class on its own, a digital asset class. However, beyond maturity of the currency, some of the things that going forward that we are expecting to see, okay, I'd say the things that happened in the past, which I feel like are not going to be considered at this moment going into 2021, is asking or saying or that Bitcoin is a scam or Bitcoin is a bubble. Why is it different? Because we've gone through all these cycles to the extent that we've studied it so much and we see the comparison of what it's trying to compete with, which is fiat currency and changing the monetary world. So just getting into that sort of maturity level and the expansion of the ecosystem to where it is right now, the many exchanges that exist, legitimate jobs that are actually pegged or are existing just because of this industry. We've had a lot of even discussions happening with people in government trying to understand it. We no longer can't talk about people, tiny pockets of people in different places just experimenting with the concept or trying to use it for illegal activities, which is not something that doesn't happen. But then at the end of the day, we've made it look like it's something that is legitimate, and going forward, we expect it to derive the value that we've been looking forward to.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to agree with you that this time it's different in that the idea of scams has sort of faded off. People are really excited about the price and they're like, okay, this looks legit. I have to mention also, institutional investors coming in. Would you agree? Has also like, made Bitcoin and crypto seem, more as a credible asset now, right?
Most definitely. I mean, if you look at the other, if you look at stocks, if you look at forex, if you look at bonds, treasury bonds, and whatnot, the returns that you are able to accumulate over time, especially if you're looking at it long time, it has been incredible. And the difference between, I'd say, okay, let me also mention that there's been like 3 major bull runs. There was the very first one in around 2013, 2014. But of course, as usual, the bull run usually comes down with some sort of a crash. And of course, the 2017, most famous, where a lot of retail came into support. And of course, there's this current bull run, which, as you mentioned, institutions are getting in. And in fact, they're the ones who are driving the price of Bitcoin at the moment, not retail. The one that happened in 2017 was mostly driven by retail. Retail hasn't even gotten into this because I feel like a lot of people who got in then in 2017, they sort of lost hope when the price sort of tanked. The correction happened. But now, with this particular bull run, this is very, very different. A lot more money is coming in, and the money that is coming in is mostly looking into hedging their finances. They're looking at what's happening in the micro environment. The US is printing lots of money to give out stimulus checks to their citizens because of lack of jobs. COVID has happened, and that means the value of the USD definitely is tanking. There's the fear that the world economy might go into a recession. There's just people looking for alternatives. Countries like Zimbabwe, which you've mentioned a lot of times. All these factors are just trying to show that going forward, this particular bull run is very, very different. It's one that is going to accelerate mass adoption in ways that would not possibly expect. And the right time is actually now, and it's still very soon, which is something that people usually talk about. I had a message coming in my phone, I think 2 days ago. Someone was saying, I see the price is rising, I'm waiting for it to drop, and then I buy again. I'm like, this is not going down. Of course it will, but the idea is just get in now, start trading, start investing into it, and start understanding and following the trends, because that's basically where we're heading to.
All right. Now, which beautifully leads me to the next question now. We are in 2021, we're in a bull market. What are the possible market scenarios we can expect going into 2021 now?
Okay, going into 2021, I personally feel like COVID-19 is still going to accelerate the adoption of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, um, because people don't have jobs. And I'm going to give a perfect example of what's happened in the US. Um, Last year, the US gave out a stimulus check of about $1,200, and we've been tracking the value of that $1,200 if it was put directly into Bitcoin the moment it landed. Right now, as we speak, it's about $7,500. So COVID-19 has been like a major accelerator to it. Right now, we're expecting them to get another $600 stimulus check. Um, Considering the price movements of Bitcoin at the moment, if you take that $600 check and put it into Bitcoin, clearly in like a few months, you'll be having a very different conversation. Going into 2021, we have accelerators of things like DeFi, decentralized finance, which basically enables you to bank without a physical bank. You can be able to take loans from a stranger online using these protocols and be able to stake them. And DeFi is coming in very aggressively. And going forward, it's something that will be a much talked about scenario into the year. Of course, price movement is expected to go up really high. We expect crypto to reach like its new heights, which is something it's been doing every single month. Let me say every single week. So that is something that we should expect. The concept of crypto frauds is actually real. Um, it's possible that a lot of frauds will be happening because if we give an example of the hacks that we've seen in the recent past of even large exchanges like Binance, that's going to accelerate because there's a lot more interest in that. At the same time, we've been talking a lot about central banks issuing digital currencies. We have China, we have US considering it, and a host of other countries. So we feel like going into this year, we will start seeing those CBDCs being launched, and those will actually legitimize cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin. They will get more people to understand the concept and basically just jump into it. CBDCs, I feel like they don't really represent actual cryptocurrencies, but then governments getting in is like the way the first time Facebook mentioned that they would be launching their own currency, the Libra, right? When that news came out, we realized that it legitimized the concept of crypto and Bitcoin to a lot of people. So at the same time, I think one of the other things that has been talked about a lot is regulation from government, which is something which we expect to also sort of just take root a lot. We feel like governments will start having those conversations with companies. For advanced economies like the US, we've seen the institutions having sit downs and sort of cracking down on certain currencies like XRP and whatnot. So I feel like going forward, governments will tighten the regulations related to fintech and crypto. And ideally, that's there are some of the key highlights of what I expect to happen this year.
All right, great. You talk of regulation there. I see a lot of questions around regulation in Kenya, with the DST, all that. I think we will respond to some of them later on.
Yeah.
But, following up with what you mentioned about what we can expect in 2021, CBDCs and regulation are obviously important, and they are more being mentioned a lot in the media, in the crypto media space. Is there any unexpected events, other things that we should be aware of as well?
I feel like the dominance of Bitcoin over the years might be challenged. Currently, I think it's about 60% dominance. Thereabout, is it?
Yes, almost 70 now. It should be 70. Is it 69 there?
Yes, David. Thereabout, yeah. So I feel like that's oh yeah, I feel like that might be challenged by other currencies, especially those that will be particularly operating around DeFi and also Ethereum. So there's going to be a bit of some sort of competition, and possibly one other, I'd say, one other sort of this is sort of a long shot expectation on my end, but which is something I feel very strongly will happen. And this is something that has been talked about in the past by a lot of people, is governments, sounds insane, but governments actually buying Bitcoin or getting into crypto. Governments would want to do this to hedge against their failing economies, right? Currently, I would give an example of Iran. So for those who probably follow a lot of geopolitics, Iran has gotten a lot of sanctions from the United States. They're hardly able to even sell their oil. If you are found dealing with Iran or selling them oil, you're also sanctioned. So the US is like, either you're with us or against us, that sort of thing. And going forward, I think we've followed Iran actually mines Bitcoin. And if Iran keeps mining Bitcoin and they hodl it as they are right now, and the price keeps accelerating, there's a possibility that Iran's economy will thrive. So Iran, if it's being considered a third world country right now, people will see it flourishing without any sort of interference or control from any other person. And then that means spiral over effect. You find, for example, us who are in Kenya, we have counties, we have different counties, and the same way we have states in America. You'll find states saying, or counties saying, we'll start accepting Bitcoin payments, we'll start taxing Bitcoin, all that sort of thing. So, and eventually when that conversation gets much bigger, you realize that entire countries will decide we are also going into the Bitcoin space. We're also going to buy into it. Because anyway, the value of our currencies is dropping by the day. And why should I hold paper money whose value cannot be predicted tomorrow, and which I know will drop, exceedingly drop over the next couple of days because the world economy is tanking. So I feel like very strongly that entire countries will start accumulating Bitcoin. The same way right now we have institutions like BlackRock, MicroStrategy, companies headed by this company headed by someone called Raul, that really getting deep into this space. They're accumulating large chunks, and in fact, right now, the shortage that we expect in the market is so large that one of the pieces I was reading the other day was that these institutions are actually buying Bitcoin directly from miners, because everyone or anyone who has them in the market are holding, and they don't want to sell, and they're actually taking them offline into cold storage. So the lesser of it that is in the market, the higher the price will keep going. So you can imagine how bigger it would get when entire countries start getting into it. And I feel like those two are sort of the big things that we should expect in this year.
All right, Frank. Sounds quite exciting. 2021 sounds like a really exciting year.
Yeah.
There are so many questions coming in. I think you've built a lot of enthusiasm with all that talk of making money in 2021. which is good. But before we get into these questions, I think can I ask you to talk about how Bitzlato now plays into all these, into this space, and
Yes.
what you guys are doing, to further this space? Yeah.
Yes, so Bitzlato is a P2P exchange. We have three different platforms that you can be able to trade with, which means you can be able to accumulate Bitcoin and start trading, making money off of it. We have an app coming up, and we also have a website where you can trade on the web exchange. And we also have a Telegram bot. The Telegram bot is very simple to use. In fact, it's personally my favorite platform because it's very, very easy. And I feel like anyone, as long as you have a smartphone and you have Telegram installed, you can be able to basically use it to start buying and selling Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. At the same time, we're enabling a lot of you guys to trade at very, very fair rates, which is something that we can boast of because you can compare our rates with what's happening in the market. At the same time, we have a very interesting affiliate network, affiliate system, which enables you to share your affiliate link with anyone as long as they register. They start trading. You can make up to 40% of the fees that are charged for that particular trade. Um, uh, Finally, I think I'd want to mention that we have a lot of other products that are coming into the new year. And we really hope for anyone who hasn't jumped into the Bitzlato wagon to do so. Those who've been here with us over the past couple of months have really enjoyed our services. We are very, prompt in even responding to customer service queries. And ideally, we are very open ecosystem, and we really hope to get you all to join us, so that when we're having these conversations, you don't feel like you're out of it. You're actually part of that conversation. So when we talk about price of Bitcoin going up and people making money off of it and governments getting in and lots of traders coming in, and the fact that even retailers haven't jumped into it, when you get started right now, those retailers will be jumping the ship much later on. You'll be the one who will be selling them or trading with them Bitcoin and the other currencies that we have on the platform. So ideally, I feel like try us out.
All right, thanks for that. I have to say, personally, for me, I love the fact that Bitzlato has a Telegram bot that you can literally buy,
Yeah.
sell, trade right on Telegram. So I think for me, that's a win for me on Telegram. I haven't found any other, exchange that offers such a seamless tool right on Telegram. Yeah, so that's a win for me when it comes to Bitzlato. Now, we have a number of questions here, Frank. Maybe I'll just start with one of the top questions here. I don't know who asked that. I think
Okay.
Mitch will help me with those who are asking. So the question was, "Hi Frank, what is your take on the skepticism of banks working with cryptocurrencies, given that they are key players in the markets?"
Yeah, it's a very interesting question. For the longest time, when we used to have these conversations, we'd say, crypto and blockchain is here to kill banks. But I feel like going forward, where we are right now, uh, banks now are being forced to adapt to blockchain and crypto. And this is good for certain reasons. One of which is crypto custody. So a lot of people, especially, basically anyone would need at some point when you get to that sort of mass adoption level where you have a ton of coins that you hold, they'd want safekeeping of those coins. So banks right now, the ones that are actually getting into crypto, are trying to provide custody services. So I think it's a good thing that for the longest time, they used to shun crypto and blockchain. And right now, they're the ones who are adopting it. So it's a good thing. It just shows growth, and it shows the sort of influence that this idea has gotten to. It's reached the people who have been managing the entire financial monetary system. So I feel like it's a good thing because there's a lot of value that will be derived through those partnerships and through those services that will be built by banks for people to be able to, particularly for me, it's custody their crypto.
So with that, we bring it to a close. Thank you, Frank. Thank you, everybody, for attending.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much, David.
All right. Bye.
All right.